It's too fast. How could you even tell what's on?
I can tell.
Toy Story, one of the biggest movie franchises to come out of Pixar, let alone one of the most successful film franchises of all time. And if we're being honest here, despite the slightly dated CGI from the first film, I think all these movies are damn near flawless. These fictional yet very relatable characters being toys are shown to deal with their dramatic yet realistic problems in dramatic yet realistic ways. The script is written in such a tight and intelligent way and includes dry humor, which is my favorite kind of humor.
Buzz, will you get up here and give me a hand? That's very funny, Buzz. This is serious!
And the voice actors do a fantastic job of delivering their lines and capturing the flawed, funny, yet realistic characters. The visuals, especially the colors, are nothing short of stunning, even with the mid-90s release of the first film. The dark themes captured are executed magnificently, even though that thing caused many pants of mine to be shit in when I was younger. What I can respect about all films, especially the first, is the risks it took, and how well they paid off. But what came out of the film aside the merchandise and a few sequels? PS1 kart racer. Hello everyone and welcome back to GameTalk, where we talk about games. I'm sure pretty much everyone who's played games has played a kart racer before. It happens to be one of my favorite genres of games, my two favorite being Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and Mario Kart Wii. And most of the time with kart races, they're either hit or miss. But when it comes to one of my favorite consoles being the PS1, the only one I've played is this, and you know what? It was good. I know about others on the PS1 like Looney Tunes Racing and Rascal Racers, which you don't even have to play that to know that's a masterpiece, but there is one that I've always heard things about, and that one happens to be Toy Story Racer. Tell me something, who asked for this? Cause I sure didn't. Hell, I was only a 1-year-old when this came out. A story about a sociopathic cowboy doll trying to kill another toy out of pure jealousy because the owner completely neglected the cowboy doll. Yeah, they made a kart race out of that. Not only did they make a kart race out of it, but this game is based on the first movie, even though this game came out 2 years after the second movie came out. Yeah, I can't say high hopes are going into this review purely for the fact that this game has every right to suck. And especially because usually tie-in games don't turn out very well. But hey, I've heard pretty good things about Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue on PS1 and Toy Story 3 on PS3, so there's some hope, I guess. But yeah, things aren't really looking up to begin with, apart from the fact that this game is pretty damn great. Yeah, you heard that right. This game is pretty damn sick. Better get it some Panadol then. Yeah, this game is good. What? The last thing I'd expect from a kart racer about the first Toy Story film released 2 years after the second film is it to be good. But goddamn, this is one hell of a game. And it's not like this is a Mario Kart clone either. Toy Story Racer is really unique in its own way. The gameplay itself really makes this game stand out. The tracks are designed in such a way that they don't really feel like tracks, however, environments. With Crash Team Racing and Mario Kart, you can tell that the track has a specific layout built into the environment itself, while Toy Story Racer gets the set environment and you race around that. Like say Andy's house for an example, you're racing around the lounge rooms, kitchen, bedrooms, through air vents and attic, but obviously everything is enlarged, pushing the fact that
You are a toy!
But while the tracks are designed in such a multi-layered way, it can get a bit confusing at times, but there are guideposts and arrows to redirect you if you get stuck, so that's pretty dandy. Randy. Candy. And it mimics the scenes from the film surprisingly well with the tracks. Like Sid's house is basically a one-to-one with the movie. The layout is damn near identical. You have Sid's dog endlessly staring at you, which is currently causing another pair of pants of mine to be shit in. The TV where Buzz saw the Buzz Lightyear commercial and realized he isn't a space ranger and is only a toy, which turned him into
Mrs. Nesbit.
Why isn't she a character in this game? There's a surprising attention to detail within the tracks relating towards the first film that I really haven't seen much PS1 games accomplish. And we know what the PS1 can do to its source material. Yeah, the environments is something that's incredibly unique about this game, and I just love how well they're detailed towards the film. But what I also love that separates Toy Story Racer from other kart races are the controls. And these controls, of course, aren't your run-of-the-mill kart racer controls. They're incredibly slippy and slidey, and that would be a bad thing for some games, but here it works as brilliantly as the PS1 multi-tap works as a fucking boomerang. Since
You are a toy!
the karts control as if they were RC toys, and I'm fully aware that you can play as the RC toy in the game. Well, ain't that a coinky dink? It's hard to compare it to other kart races because they're obviously supposed to control like go-karts, while here, they're supposed to control like toys. If I had to compare it to any other game, the only thing I could think of is those Micro Machine games. Actually, no, if I had to compare it to anything at all, get a $10 remote control car from your local thrift store and use that. That's the closest thing I can compare it to. Though the karts in-game won't break after a couple of minutes like those RC cars do. I adore these controls as it locks in the fact that
You are a child's plaything.
The tracks are clearly based around the controls as well. There's no corner that feels like you just can't turn around due to how the controls are made. At every single moment of the game, it just feels very natural. Different terrain as well doesn't just slow down the kart either. Grass and snow will bump the kart around as the terrain obviously isn't smooth and not flat. Tiles and ice make the karts even more slippy and hard to control. And stairs, wait, that's not what stairs are supposed to look like. Christ, if stairs were like that in real life, I'm sure neck injuries from stair-related accidents will quintuple. It does seem a bit silly to have stairs like that, but because obviously toys are much too small to be driving up realistic stairs like that, the compromise made is kind of charming and I actually really like it. Doesn't excuse how silly it is though. There isn't a manual boosting method like other kart races, however boosts are placed on the track and in power-up boxes for you to obtain. The boosts placed on the track are put to good use as when they're placed, they're often put into sections where there are two ways to race through it. One way will be much shorter than the other and will be slightly harder to traverse. The other will be easier to traverse but will have a boost placed there, so this brings up quick decision making mid-race. Or you could be an absolute alpha gamer and go the long route, grab the boost and continue along the short route, you know, if you're that type of gamer. Though I will say, while the controls are pretty good, they're not the easiest thing to grasp. This game is clearly made for kids and I honestly do not see my kids self-playing this game. It took me a fair bit to get an understanding on the way the controls work and even then I still struggled. I love them, don't get me wrong, but for a game aimed towards kids, the game controls unbelievably hard. Like you can literally do donuts by holding the accelerator and a directional button. The game's difficulty isn't a force to be reckoned with as well. I don't know, the AI seems to have something against you. They don't like you competing with them. But let's talk about some of the power-ups in this game. That should power up this video.
I don't get it.
Even the power-ups are based entirely off the first movie as well. None of them feel out of place at all and are extremely fun to use. But another cool thing about them is that it doesn't take the approach of putting sets of 4 power-up crates in certain sections of the track like basically every kart racer does. However, they will constantly pop in and out of existence in random places on the track, so anyone can get a power-up at any time. Not only is that different, but you've probably noticed in the gameplay footage used that the power-up crates are all very different from one another. This is because each crate you see will hold 2 specific power-ups. If you don't know this at first, it does take a while to figure out, but when you do figure it out, it makes the game a whole lot easier and a lot better. It's kind of like realizing eating Oreos with milk is much better than eating them dry. But the difference there is if you don't eat your Oreos with milk, you may as well be executed. Like, what kind of demon are you? Eating Oreos without milk. I may as well have a sandwich without bread then. Some power-ups you can get is the 8 ball and the iconic Toy Story bouncy ball, with the only difference between them is that one can only be thrown forward and one can only be thrown backward. But I do like how it doesn't get destroyed after you use it. It can bounce off a wall and screw you up if you're not careful. You can get other power-ups from the movie as well, like Bo Peep's sheep, which is an idle obstruction thrown behind you. You even get that rocket that Sid uses to try and murder Buzz before he finds out the toys are sentient. The red power-up crate will hold the 2 best power-ups in the game. One being this electric thing that pops on your kart's antenna. Once you go up close to another racer with this power-up, their icon shows up, and pressing the action button will electrocute them. What else the red power-up crate gives you is the single best power-up in the game that you don't get very often, the battery boost. Merely for the fact that you can literally skip half the track if you wish to use it that way. Then you'll have no problems escaping the horny cowboy. Each of the power-ups are great fun to use, and getting hit by them doesn't cause a dramatic stop in momentum. If you're accelerating at a high speed, it will spin you out for a slight second, but you will keep most of your momentum for the most part. And another thing I noticed is that if you have a power-up on your character, it acts as a temporary shield, as long as you don't press the action button to use it. This can be a bit broken, especially if you decide to keep one on you when you're in first place, making you basically invincible. But nevertheless, like I said, the power-ups are cool. I would say they're balanced, but yeah, that. And even the soundtrack is pretty great as well. For a game not nostalgic to me at all, the music is quite catchy and extremely memorable looking back over the soundtrack. Of course it isn't the best soundtrack of all time, but it's still very good. It's pretty in place and suits the kart racer and Toy Story in general. The voice actors come back like Tim Hanks and Tom Allen. Wait, that's not their names, is it?
I got it. That's the guy from Big. Tom Hanks, that's it. Ah, funny guy, Tom Hanks. Everything he says is a stitch.
But you can tell that they just rip some lines straight off the film. And yeah, the voice lines come with a dose of cringe. But my favorite one has to be when you're just focusing on racing and out of nowhere you hear... You know, before I started playing this game, I was kind of expecting garbage because taking all of the elements into account, Toy Story Racer has every right to be garbage. Like I said, it's a movie tie-in kart racer based on the first Toy Story, released 2 years after the film's sequel released. And the PS2 was already out at this point, so what's the deal here? Why doesn't this game suck?
It kind of does.
No, the game isn't amazing, and it comes down to how you progress throughout the game and unlock the other characters. Basically, when you pick your character, each will have various missions that includes various types of game modes. There are only a couple missions to do at a time, but each mission will award you 1 soldier.
Holy dog
bullshit. Texas, only steers and queers come from Texas, Private Cowboy.
But since you only get one soldier per mission, you then take into account that there are 200 soldiers in total. Well, ain't that a pile of moldy peanut butter? Yeah, the level of grinding in this game is a joke. I genuinely wanted to unlock the other characters, but as soon as I realized how much I would need to grind to do so, I completely refused. There's just too much to do. And not just that, you need to play as the other characters and do their missions as well. This causes you to constantly revisit the same tracks over and over again, and sometimes there can be different game modes, yes, but you have to do those over and over again as well. It's blatant repetitiveness, and this is one of the reasons why the game gets boring really quickly. The other is that there's no motivation to unlock the other characters. There was for me at first, but as soon as I unlocked Rex, I realized that there are no stat differences. All the characters control in the exact same way. All that changes when you choose a different character is that the AI difficulty feels slightly increased. That's it. Repetitive challenges to unlock content that doesn't change a thing. Not very impressive, I must say. And I guess we should go over the different challenges and game modes, shall we? Well, first off is the regular race. 3 laps, fairly standard. The reverse race, which is specific tracks in reverse. However, the tracks featured in this game mode are often the simplest ones, so it doesn't change much at all. The knockout race, where after each lap, last place gets eliminated. Now, I see this in other games, and they're alright for those because there are only usually 4 races. But here there are 6 and sometimes more, so it's just a repeat of the same track you've already played, but with 5 or more laps instead of 3. So yeah, it's a very tedious and repetitive game mode. Then there's a battle mode, which is pretty fun. You're in an arena like a bowling alley or
Pizza Planet? Oh, cool.
just don't get eliminated and be the last one standing. Then there's the battle knockout challenge, where the AI won't attack you back, however will avoid you, and your job is to eliminate all the AI in a limited amount of time. This mode is straight up annoying, but not as annoying as the tag challenge. It's the same thing, but without a time limit and on a track instead of the battle arena. The AI is set to just race on the track, so you have to catch up to them and try and hit them, which is easier said than done. I was on this challenge for 10 minutes straight, and it just got to the point where it pissed me off. There's a clown collection challenge where you have the time limit to get all the clowns, but what eliminates the challenge for this mode is that there are arrows showing you where the clowns are. Again, another really repetitive game mode after you've done it once. And also one where you race a whole bunch of Rexes. Yeah, that's terrifying actually. And there could be more game modes, I don't know. I didn't progress that far as the game became really boring and tedious. I did find the mission names that you went through pretty hilarious at times, however. Like one was called Flirting Around the Skirting. Guys, this is a kid's game. Yeah, believe it or not, I don't have the time to grind a kart racer based on Toy Story on the PS1. I wasn't planning on it either. And the grinding applies for all the multiplayer content as well. You have to grind so much for it. And that's a real shame because I really wanted to play multiplayer with someone who has a friend in me. The thing is about Toy Story Racer is that it's extremely hit and miss. Hit with the tracks and the environment, miss with the repetitiveness. Hit with the controls, miss with the long grind to unlock stuff. I could go on and on, but the point I'm trying to make is this game is disappointing. There is so much missed potential with how the game works. If the game acted like Mario Kart, where it gave you a fair bit of content to begin with, but with extras unlocked through arcade mode, Toy Story Racer could shine as a really unique PS1 classic, and I bet it does to some extent. It's just that repetitiveness that is so off-putting, and the grind to unlock characters that don't affect gameplay at all is really unmotivating. So disappointing to see the potential this game has go to waste. I believe both quantity and quality need to be considered, but for everything it should be quality as a priority over quantity, and this game is the complete opposite of that. But at the end of the day, the core gameplay itself is really unique and it holds up extremely well today. And if you can get past the grind to unlock all the multiplayer stuff, then you got a damn good kart racer. It does only support 2-player though, which is also a shame, but hey, maybe it was stretching the limits of the PS1 as it was. Nevertheless though, Toy Story Racer makes the OK list and gets a 6 out of 10. I don't think this game deserves the good list, but I did want to rate it higher due to the gameplay itself, which really caught me off guard. If it wasn't obvious already, I didn't finish the game and I didn't unlock a lot of the stuff because it was just too tedious. But for the amount I did play before it started getting repetitive, I was genuinely surprised. It's hard to believe a PS1 game accomplished such great controls and such cleverly designed tracks. And if they made a Toy Story Racer 2 on modern consoles with the same concept, but a whole bunch of characters from all the films, then I'll be all over that quicker than will Naruto run into Area 51. September 20th, gamers, don't forget. So how do I end off this video? How about a sing-along? You got a friend and bye! Thank you once again for making it to the end of one of my stupid videos. I do apologize if the video does seem rushed, because it was, I won't lie. But if you would like to help me out, then I strongly encourage you to share this video around as well as give it a like, as that would be a huge contribution to the channel. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to not miss an upload. Thank you all so much once again, and I'll talk to you before you know it. See you later.